not about selling. I'm about serving, because high performers are not just thinking about me, 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 me. They're thinking about who they can serve, who needs them the best right now. Forget about your strengths, forget about your weaknesses. You know what? That's why people keep falling. Like, first of all, the strengths and weaknesses
Yes.
kind of makes me feel depressed,
Mm.
because with a strength must come a weakness. It's about conscious habit. I'm gonna cry. I'm grateful that my dad died. I'm grateful that my dad was murdered and that my mom died at a very young age, because even though I really miss them, I'm grateful for what I learned. It brought me closer to Allah.
Are you someone who connects creativity, strength, passion with high performance? And without any doubt, you get things done but end up battling burning yourself out. Research shows burnout is mainly found among high achievers or those who are overcommitted with their work. In today's topic, we will try to distinguish between high achievers versus high performers. We will try to know how to 10x or 100x or increase our productivity, avoid distractions, and work smart without burning out. I got an opportunity to discuss this new perspective with one of the leading high performance coach, Nour Cauveren, living in Amsterdam. Nour is passionate about helping Muslim women overcome their emotional obstacles to step up for the next level of success in all areas of their lives. From this episode, you will learn 7 habits of high performers, the kind of courage that matters the most. Why it's so important to live with intention, purpose, and most of all, get clarity to love your work and find joy in it without burning out and help your businesses or the projects in your life. So my next guest is Nour, and she is from Amsterdam, and I will let her to introduce herself. So with the question that what motivated you to take this coaching career so seriously, and especially with the high performance thing.
Well, first of all, Kazi, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I feel really honored. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. And I need to correct you. I'm not from Amsterdam. I'm a very proud Brooklynite from Brooklyn, New York. Alhamdulillah. But I do call Amsterdam home, and it's a beautiful, wonderful place. Let me tell you a story. I remember a time in my life when I was just getting high marks at school, working really hard at a part-time job, just go, 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 go all the time. And what happens with most high achievers happened to me. I just became stressed, always never really enjoying my life, always on edge, feeling really exhausted, because we have a tendency to think that if we work harder, work longer hours, then we're going to achieve our goal. And for a while, we could be achieving all those goals, but at what cost? For me, it really was a cost of joy. And I don't know if you've ever experienced it, or maybe the viewers have ever experienced, but have you ever experienced where you're just working so hard, you finally reach that goal, and you're like, why? What am I doing here? Where is that pot of gold? Where is that joy? And that is what high performance is not. That is being a high achiever. And high achievers rarely fizzle out. I, in my case, did have a burnout, but I was such a high achiever, I didn't even know I had a burnout. Not until I ended up in therapy, and she said, well, you had a burnout. But people like you are such high achievers, you keep going. But of course, that's no way to live life, because you're physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. You don't have any joy. It just costs you your heart, your soul, your body, your health, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. So that's where my journey of the search for high performance started. How did I end up being a high performance coach? Well, that came last year when I went through a divorce quite suddenly, right after the lockdown. And I just said to myself, what are you going to do to pick yourself up? This is rock bottom. What are you going to do to pick yourself up? And I decided that I would start a podcast. And a lot of women were coming to me. MashaAllah, you've really motivated me. May Allah accept from me. And I said to myself, you need to be trained. I had done life coaching before, but I wanted to really be ethical. So I went and I qualified as a certified life coach. And I love life coaching. I really see my passion in it. And high performance coaching isn't for everyone, although everyone can learn high performance habits. And then in my coaching journey, I came across high performance habits. And it's basically habits, but conscious habits. Conscious habits that make you a well rounded person. It starts with clarity, necessity. That's that the emotional motivation. It's productivity. It's understanding that high performance is all about being a whole person. And what I've done is this, this system isn't my system. It's a very famous system by Brendan Bouchard. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his
Yeah, I
name.
know. He has written a book on
I,
that.
Alhamdulillah, I love that high performance book and his trainings because he has a course for to become a high performance coach. But of course, like in everything in self development, because I am a revert to Islam, I look at it from a different lens than someone who was born Muslim. And as I was coaching women, one of the things I realized in their self development journey was that they had become disconnected from Allah.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know how to integrate what they were learning with Islam. And that's what I've done. I've taken the habits that he has developed, that he suggests, and I've aligned them with Islam. And I've added in my coaching a seventh, well, I call it the first because he has 6 high performance habits. I call it the first, and that's the faith habit. Because we need to build everything on our deen. And then all the other habits around it in the program that I teach high performers is how does this relate to our deen? How will becoming more joyful, serving people, raising my necessity, understanding my my emotional motivation, how will all of that bring me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because that is really what my goal is. My goal is I want to see other women shine because I exclusively coach at the moment Muslim women, although my company, which is Muslim Mindset Blueprint, a very new company, eventually will coach men and young people as well, inshallah.
Mashallah.
And at the moment, inshallah, at the moment my company is focused on Muslim women. And my niyyah is I want to build a forest in Jannah for myself for the sake of Allah. May Allah accept from me. And I want these women to shine. Ameen. I want them to shine. I want them to get closer to Allah. And I want them to reach the peak performance. Another thing that I've added to the program, which you can't get if you read the books or you follow him, you can get definitely a lot from him, are the blocks. Because you may be implementing these habits, but there could be a trauma. There could be some block that's coming up for you. And there I use the life coaching techniques, which he doesn't really like so much. I've heard him sometimes say not so positive things about it. But I use the life coaching techniques from an Islamic perspective in order to help them move past that block, whatever that is, self-study.
What makes you and your clients to stay motivated all the time?
What makes me motivated, what motivates my client is necessity.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if you know the saying, necessity is the mother of all invention. Necessity is the emotional drive, your emotional motivation. Now, when I first started coaching as a life coach, I would lose my motivation before I transitioned into high performance. And that's because my why wasn't in line. You know, I'm not about purely making money. I'm not about selling. I'm about serving. And sometimes when you're in the service industry and you're serving people, the selling part was a little bit challenging for me because I didn't really feel like selling was serving. But I aligned my why. I got that emotional necessity, and that's just the drive that I need to get up every day. But it starts with clarity. I got clear on what I wanted, and that helped me to raise my necessity. And that's what I do with clients as well. They first need to know what they want. They need clarity, and then they need to tap into that emotional necessity. What's really important about emotional necessity is not just a personal habit, it's a social habit as well. You know, when we think about the Prophet, peace be upon him, She served others. Part of being a high performer are personal habits and social habits, and understanding your role, understanding who needs you to be your best right now, understanding that it's bigger than you. It's not just about you. Because high performers are not just thinking about me, 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 me. They're thinking about who they can serve, who needs them the best right now, what is their mission. They're always thinking about this constantly. And when we think about that, that relates very much to our Dean, because we should be thinking about what we are doing right now. We know the rights of other people. We know that we should be bringing our best to other people. And when you make that a conscious habit, it helps to align the other habits as well. And that's a huge motivation for people.
I'll come to your habits part of it. And before that, it is related to the real talk recently you posted, where you said which one is bigger, you or your dreams. Yeah. You said your dreams are
It's bigger than you.
Yeah. So
well, actually, it's not your dreams.
Why?
It's not your dreams.
Yeah.
It's the qadr. The qadr is bigger than you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when I say it's bigger than you, it's like I have been sent here to worship Allah like everyone. But Allah has given me talents, and those talents are bigger than me. What you leave behind, your legacy that you leave behind, is bigger than you. And when you realize that you are just a part of that, and you are an important part of that, but it's bigger than you, it puts everything in perspective because you bring it back to Allah. It's Qadr Allah, and it's just bigger than you, your mission, what you are meant to do in this life. It's bigger than you.
Interesting. So I think I should go, if it is right for me, to check out whether I should fix my fear. Let's go with the foundation. So how to overcome negative emotions for taking responsibility, like these big dreams to achieve as it comes with the package, right? So how do you overcome those emotions? Then I can, because I think there are dreams, there are aspirations in many, but I think because of the negative emotions and those negative self-talk, they don't take the first step.
And that's just it. You need to take imperfect action. You need to feel the fear and do it anyway, because that is how you overcome the fear. Again, it goes back to the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us. We are creatures of habit. You feed the fear, you create a fear habit, because then your mind is continually expecting it, and your subconscious is so powerful. It will create things, and you think, people talk about law of attraction. It's not law of attraction. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, but also Allah says, I am as my servant thinks I am. And your subconscious mind will create things, will create that phone or whatever breaking. Why? Because you'll just drop something, because you have fed it negativity over and over and over again. But the same happens when you feed it positivity. The same happens when it's like, okay, I did it. I was terrified, but I did it. Then the next time it's going to be like, oh, we're scared, but we're going to do it. And high performers are scared. There's doubt, but we work through it. Courage is a very important part of high performance. You need to up your courage, because you have to just do it over and over and over and over again. That's one part of it. The next part is understanding where is the fear coming from, because that can help you overcome your fear better. I remember when I first started doing my podcast, I'm doing my podcast by myself. Nobody's hearing my recording. And I'm literally almost vomiting from the fear. Calling my brother, like, I'm freaking out. So terrified. And I'm recording all on my own. Why? The fear of, for me, I have a fear of success. No, let me correct myself. I had a fear of success. My fear was related to, if I'm successful, I will no longer be accepted. I will be rejected. And that comes because I'm from a multi-racial family. I'm a white one in a Black family. So I got afraid of, if I'm successful, I will be rejected. But how did I overcome that fear? by taking imperfect action, by facing it every time, by every week working on my podcast. And by week 5, it was okay. I couldn't even remember the fear anymore. And I thought about who I wanted to be. Who did I want to show up as tomorrow? And I showed up as her today. And I did it today. And every time I was like having them freak out, I calmed myself down. I did some breathing exercises and I continued on. And it became easier and easier and easier. And that's what we need to do. But I also worked together with a coach to discover, where is my fear coming from? What wound needs to be healed? And of course, starting with the source. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making dua for him to open me up to new patterns that serve me, to let go of patterns that don't serve me. And as I said, we're on a pilgrimage back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are constantly striving, constantly growing, constantly learning. And we just have to be willing to get uncomfortable and do it anyway. It doesn't matter if you fail. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work out. It doesn't matter if you're a huge success and that freaks you out. Do it anyway. Get uncomfortable and work on, why am I uncomfortable? And keep on moving forward. That's the most important thing. Keep on moving forward. And one thing that really struck me was, if I don't use these talents that I have, what am I going to say to Allah on Judgment Day? I don't know if you know of a show called Honest Tea Talk, but it was November 2019. My brother died, and I traveled all the way to New York and Bermuda. His funeral was in Bermuda. And when I came back, I was watching the episode that I had missed, and one of the hosts said, how many people are in their graves with talents that they never used, and what are they going to tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Judgment Day? And that really hit me hard. I was like, girl, I don't know what you're going to tell Allah, because you're wasting your talents. And I made a decision. And, it took a lockdown to push me into action. I was taking slow action, but to push me into action. And now every day I wake up, I bring the joy. I take care of myself. I really work on optimizing my health and going to physiotherapy, chiropractor, because I had a major accident, watching what I eat, choosing the best for myself, because I want to stand in front of my Rab on Judgment Day and say, yeah, Allah, I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned and I got better and I did it for your sake. I didn't eat that piece of cake because I wanted my body to be able to give me the best. I made sure I did that salah on time because I wanted you to be pleased with me. And this is, for me, something that I've always done. And I thought, oh, this is so perfect to integrate it into this program, because it's all about getting closer to Allah and using the gifts that we have. And for anyone out there who thinks that they are not talented, think back to that girl who's 14 years old who didn't know what 5 + 5 was. And within 3 months, she was doing advanced algebra because she believed in herself. Anyone can do it. You just need to believe in yourself and, get yourself a coach. Get yourself someone who can help you to discover what's inside of you, inshallah.
So, you have given me overall picture, but can you really, give me an idea like how to build the habits and optimize it, and also despite having fear, because you said it's a part of package. I also believe that, but how do you build those habits and even optimize it?
That's a really complex question. It's an easy question, but I can't tell you in this short period of time how to build all those habits. It starts with building your faith habits.
Yeah.
Being where you need to work on your relationship with Allah and making a commitment that you're going to be working on that relationship for the rest of your life. So that's the first place where I start with my clients. Where are you with Allah now? Let's get talking. What is your why? It's about raising clarity. They need to seek clarity. They need to find out what's going on. And that happens in the coaching conversation. And it's also about them generating energy. Energy comes from their spiritual energy. How is their life? What are they eating? What are the food choices that they're making? Are they exercising? Are they stretching themselves in their optimization of their health? because you need to optimize the whole package. But another part of energy is happiness. Are they joyful? Are they thinking of ways that they could bring joy to their lives? Or are they just going through the motions? And of course, necessity. Like I said, that emotional motivation. They have to bring that emotional motivation to understand what it is that they want, who needs them to be their best right now. Because emotional motivation is not just about us. That necessity is what makes it a must. It's about what they want, what their why is, aligning it with their values, and also who needs that, who needs what they're giving. So that's another thing that I take them through. And those are the personal habits, and you have the social habits, which is productivity. And productivity, again, is aligned with service, who needs them on their to be their best, working in a way that they are spending the majority of their time working on what will move them towards their goal. Every goal has major moves. You need to understand what the major moves are by talking to people in that field. And now we're so connected, you can easily connect with high performers in certain fields. Hey, what did you do to get where you are? And then following that model and making sure when you have your work day that you're spending the majority of your time on that about a 60-40 ratio, but it's different for everyone. You got to find the ratio that's good for you. So I will say, okay, I'm working 6 hours today and I'm going to spend 60% of my time on this. And I've mapped it out. I've planned it out because planning is a very important part of it. But before you can plan, you need to know what you're planning, because some people are busy all day, but they didn't move forward to their goal. That's because they're busy doing what they should be spending the least amount of time doing. And that's all the little tasks related to what they think is important, but is not. As a coach, for me, what's very important is connecting with people in my work day, because of course I'm also optimizing my health, taking care of my dean. Those are all the personal habits. My work day, connecting with people, not just about creating content. I need to be having contact with people. I need to be engaging with the people on my social media, really building up that trust. That's what a lot of coaches don't spend their time on. They spend like so much time on creating amazing content. Yes, but you don't need to spend that much time creating amazing content. You know what your message is. And it's like that in any field. You need to know what the high performers in your field did to get where they are, and then do it. And you need to become really a master at something. We have people now, I know a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. I have people recommending books to me all the time. I become a master at something, and then I'm moving on. I have a few skills that I want to master, and I work on those skills. And recently I decided I would apply it to my personal life as well. Arabic has been a real struggle for me. And I just said, you know what? You're going to be fluent in Arabic in 2.5 years, inshallah. And the moment I made that decision, boom, a block removed, because I have been studying Arabic for about 2 years. And I started understanding way more than I did before. I dedicate the 3 hours a day to learning Arabic, 2 hours of self-study, 1 hour with my husband, just having conversation. And I am obsessive about it because this is for my akhirah and my dunya. I obsess about learning Arabic because inshallah I intend on, being like the high performance coach of the Muslim world, inshallah, the Arabic speaking Muslim world as well. And other skills that you need, become obsessive about it, become the best at it. And you need to devote the time, and that's where motivation comes in. Before, when I was studying Arabic, I would lose my motivation. And why? Because I thought if it's not all about Allah, then maybe it's not a pure niyyah. And then when I realized, like, no, I want to learn Arabic because I want to get closer to Allah and understand the Quran and the Hadith in Arabic. But I also want to learn Arabic because I want to speak to my husband in his native language and my in-laws in their native language. I want to learn Arabic because I want to serve my Arabic speaking brothers and sisters. And once I put all those whys together, then getting up and spending 3 hours on Arabic was no problem. It's just fun. I enjoy it. You get that motivation, which gives you a huge energy burst. And another one is really having influence. You need to be able to influence people and to know who you are influencing, and to be courageous is very important habit as well. Or part of a habit, you need to have courage. That's why I said just do it anyway. I don't know if I answered that correctly.
Yeah. I hope you have given me a whole picture. Of course, it was a complex question, but I'm sure there's so many things in there which comes like overcoming the fear, and I think intention plays a great role, and also what you have thought. The idea is like, removing the blocks by by doing it. Just go for it.
Imperfect action.
Yeah.
Just gotta go for it.
Yeah.
Don't be a perfectionist. Oh my gosh, I was a perfectionist without even knowing I was.
It happens. You can see sometimes, like, I'm very passionate about some related to editing or designing. I'm like, till I get that perfect picture or perfect art coming out, I'm keep doing. But now I have to keep it like, okay, within 3 hours or 4 hours, I have to finish this. I cannot go more than that. Maybe I can take some feedback and work again. So I have to build a system for myself until you have your system, like you have your system, and you are as a coach helping. One has to have a system, I think. So,
yeah. But I'll tell you about perfectionism. Perfectionism is really where doubt is coming in, and you need to uncover where that self-doubt is coming from. One of the questions, once I help my clients uncover where the self-doubt is coming from, then I ask them a very simple and powerful question, and it all seems to resonate. So I'll ask you the same question. Was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam perfect?
He was having ihsan in all his roles.
Perfect. Is he described as perfect?
Really? No.
Exactly. How is he described?
Yeah.
As the best of creation. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfect.
Yeah.
So then ask yourself, I want to be like the Prophet, peace be upon him, who was not perfect, but he was the best of creation. So when you strive for the best, that's something we can achieve. But when you strive for perfection, well, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfect. So you need to know, what was I created for? I was never created to be perfect. I was created to be striving to be my best, to strive for excellence, to strive to get closer to Allah. I was created to sin, to make mistakes, to repent back to Allah. And when you really start to understand, from a deep level, what is this thing? Why was I created? Then it's okay when you make those mistakes. And one of the things I think is really important is to constantly throughout your day, you're asking yourself, who needs me my best right now? Who do I need to serve? But also, will Allah be pleased with me? Now, I know we hear about it in khutbahs as well, but when people come seeking coaching, and I have that very much a part of the program, and they become conscious of these habits, it's about building that foundation. Is Allah pleased with me? But not separating your dunya life and your ibadah. It needs to be all integrated. It needs to be one entire whole. I'm sitting at my desk, I'm doing my job, I'm earning my money, I'm serving people, and I'm doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if, when I get that big fat paycheck, I get to give more sadaqah. When we think about it in that way, we don't need to be poor. We don't need to not have beautiful things. It's about not being extravagant. And extravagance doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive for something good in the dunya. You're building for the akhirah. Like I said, every single time I sit down for a coaching call, I set my intention. That's another thing, setting the intention throughout the day. I love when I read that in his book and I started going through his program about setting intention. I was like, this is what Islam has taught us Muslims.
Yes.
A set intention as you go throughout your day. And I make dua with that intention. I get relaxed, calm. It takes only about a minute. So I'm taking I'm asking Allah to help me with everything. And before I sit down for every single coaching call, I get into the zone to serve that person powerfully. And we start every coaching call with setting intention. Sister, this is my intention to serve you powerfully, to help you shine, and to grow trees for myself in Jannah, inshallah. What is your intention? And when we start to live in this way, that's why I called my company Muslim Mindset Blueprint, because it's all about, we get distracted. Let's get back to using the blueprint that comes from the Quran, that comes from the Sunnah, and using the way that Allah created us in order that we can really reach that high performance, and high performance not just in work, but in every aspect of our lives, to have that khushu when you're praying, to serve your ummah, your family with joy, with love for the sake of Allah. See, I'm getting all happy just talking about it.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So let's talk about the strengths. What's the simple way to find out the strength? But before that, why should we focus on the strength? Because I see that there is so much focus is paid on the strengths, finding out strengths, and
forget about all of that. Forget about your strengths. Forget about your weaknesses. You know what? That's why people keep falling. Like, first of all, the strengths and weaknesses kind of makes me feel depressed. Because with a strength must come a weakness. It's about conscious habits. And it's about knowing that I can achieve what I want to achieve. I can become the best at what I want to become the best at. So I'm not focusing on what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. It's about what motivates you. What is that necessity that makes it an absolutely must for you? How are you bringing the joy to your life? How are you serving the ummah? How are you optimizing your health to create that physical energy? How are you optimizing how are you drawing closer to Allah to create that spiritual energy, that emotional energy by bringing the joy? Those are the things that are important. And what you'll find is, as you focus on those things, a lot of the things that you might have thought were weaknesses will go. And you will start to find talents that you didn't even realize that you had, because your mind becomes more creative. Just like I said earlier, that girl who went on to learn algebra, me being able to understand a lot more Arabic, because I'm not focusing anymore on, oh, I'm so weak in Arabic. I'm focusing on, like, no, I understand I have clarity. I understand what motivates me, what my emotional necessity is, that necessity that makes it an absolute must. And every single day, I think about myself, who I want to be in the future. I want to be living in Qatar. I want to speak fluent Arabic. I want people to say, MashaAllah, so you just learned Arabic a few years ago, and to serve powerfully, to speak. I want to be able to share all these things with my husband in his language, and not just in a language that is not his own, because together we speak Dutch. He doesn't really speak fluent English, and my Arabic is not fluent yet. So your strength is irrelevant. It's about what drives you and will continue to drive you, and making sure that all those areas of your life are aligned, and working on those habits together so that you can have sustained high performance over a period of time. Because if it's not sustained, it's not high performance. Then you're a high achiever, and there is a big difference.
Can you differentiate, bring some distinctions in high achievers and high performers, and what was the surprising habit they had?
Well, for example, a high achiever is what I told you about myself in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was working these long hours. I was motivating myself, but not aligning with my why. And then eventually the joy leaves. High performers are conscious about everything that they do. They're asking themselves several times a day, who do I want to be in the future? And they're embodying those characteristics and those skills now. They're being courageous. They have the habit of courage. They're exerting influence on other people, and influence in a positive way, that what they're doing is influencing their environment. They're continually questioning themselves, but not in a negative way. And they're bringing their best, their A game to every situation. And they're asking themselves, it's not just about me. I want to bring myself, I want to be the best for me. their identity is tied into what they want and what the larger world wants, because their mission is bigger. And anyone can achieve this if they align all those habits. Anyone can achieve it, inshallah.
Is it something related to philosophy you're talking about? Is it personal philosophy? Once your philosophy is fixed, the foundation is fixed. We always talk like, okay, your foundation, your philosophy, your fundamentals have to be clear. Then only you will be able to make difference or something like that.
Not at all. It's about learning conscious habits. It's about understanding
because
clarity.
if you see, sorry to interrupt you. Like if you see what I see is like achievers are maybe don't have the purpose. That's the reason they are not performing. They are burning out. They are focused on only one thing, maybe because if they know the purpose, maybe they will handle all the areas of their life. So is it like that?
Clarity starts. It starts with clarity. It starts with clarity, but it's not just about focusing on one habit. It's about focusing on all the habits.
Clarity in the sense in what? And the philosophy?
Clarity and understanding what it is that you want.
Okay.
What is it that you want? And then you work on, okay, what motivates me? I want to be the best coach in the world. Let's just say that, right? I want to be the Muslim high performance coach serving the entire Ummah. That's my clarity. And then what am I focusing on? Is what I'm doing something that I love? If I'm just working, for example, all day on selling, I'm going to burn out because I don't really like that. But if I'm focusing on having powerful conversations with people, helping people to shine, helping them to reach high performance, knowing I'm doing it for the sake of Allah, that gives me the motivation to get up every single day and to do it. But I'm also bringing joy to my life. So if my relationship with my husband isn't so great, I need to work on that relationship. I need to ask myself, how can I bring joy to this situation right now? It's about optimizing my health. I decided, well, you know what? You still have a few kilos to lose. I used to be very, very fat. And I decided I was going to optimize my health. Notice I said optimize my health, not I'm going to get healthy. It's about being the healthiest that I can get. And I've made that decision. I am going to become the healthiest that I can be this year, inshallah. And then every year work towards having better health. And it all starts with my relationship with Allah. I can get into an unconscious habit. Oh, I'm doing salah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But I need to be thinking about what I'm doing. I need to be thinking about how can I improve my ibadah? How can I become better? So it's about doing that conscious review throughout the day. And what I've done is I've taken all these habits and I have put it in a way that is easy to learn, because you want to build one on top of the other. And that's how you end up becoming a high performer. You need to align all these areas of your life. Because if there's weakness in one, I don't want to say weakness. If, for example, I am saying I want to build a company, a big company, but I'm eating McDonald's and I'm not exercising, how can I bring the physical energy? If there are just arguments at home all of the time, how can I bring the emotional energy that I need? If I am focusing on 20 million tasks, but not focusing on the major things that are going to move me towards my goal, how can I be productive? Because I've done 20 million things that are only going to stress me out. And now I'm on the verge of a burnout. If I'm not doing my salah on time, not working on, really concentrating in my salah, not reflecting on what I'm doing, not getting closer to Allah, not engaging in His book, not doing dhikr, how can I bring the spiritual energy? Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
So it's not about, philosophy or this or that. It's about being your best self in everything that you bring. It's about knowing who you want to be in the future, what characteristics that person has, who you want to lead, and then doing it today. That's what it's all about.
The clarity is required on your values and vision. Yes, I agree. So Left with the rapid fire questions.
Mhm.
This way we are going to, end the broadcast. Although we can discuss a lot, I know, but for the podcast sake, we have to, manage the timings. So I have a few questions for you, and the rapid fire question is like you can answer it with one word or less than 5 words.
You want
It
something
will
for
be
America?
rapid, right? And so let me go ahead then.
Okay.
How many books have you read this year?
I think about 10.
Okay, which is good. What was your favorite one? Growing up, not this year. Growing up, your
Anne of
favorite.
Green Gables.
Hmm?
Anne of Green Gables.
Okay. What is that? It's a fiction or?
It's a fiction book. I think she was either Canadian or American author. About 100 years ago, and it's a classic book. Like anyone from North America will know Anne of Green Gables.
Okay, I don't know. Okay.
I love that.
Okay. So the 3 skills you wish you learned earlier in your life.
Skills or things that I know.
Skills you wish you learned earlier in your life.
I wish I had learned to speak Arabic when I was younger. I wish that I had. I find that difficult to answer. It's supposed to be rapid. I wish I had learned how to slow down. I wish I had learned when I was younger to listen more.
The last 2 ones, maybe we can still develop.
Inshallah.
Yes.
Definitely, always.
Yeah. What scares you the most about the future?
I'm terrified of going to hell. I'm going to be very honest.
Okay.
I have a brother who died as a non-Muslim and 2 parents who died as a non-Muslim, and I want Nour in my grave. That's what I think about every single day. Like, did I do enough to have Nour in my grave and to go to Jannah? So I think about the akhirah. If I think about the dunya, was the question related to the dunya or any future in general?
What was your happiest moment?
Now, it's not necessarily my happiest moment, but it's one that has just come back to me when you asked me that question. And I would say all the moments that I spent with my mom, she's passed away now, just walking, just being, and my mom just letting me be me. That is a memory that I cherish. And I was thinking about it today because I was walking across the bridge where I used to always say, Mama, I want to stop. Oh, it was supposed to be 5 words, but anyway. Yeah, the moments that I spent with my mom walking.
Most spontaneous thing you have done lately?
I think the most spontaneous thing I did in the last week is that I really challenged myself and I went on a very, very long walk. And like I said, I had an accident. So on a very, very long walk, I walked for like more than an hour and a half. Very fast.
Wow.
That was quite spontaneous. And I suffered for it the next day.
Okay. So what emotion do you experience the most?
Joy.
Really?
Yeah.
What is easy, loving yourself or loving others?
What is easy is loving others, and that helps me to love myself more.
Interesting. 3 most grateful things in your life.
I'm grateful. I'm gonna cry. I'm grateful that my dad died. I'm grateful that my dad was murdered and that my mom died at a very young age, because even though I really miss them, I'm grateful for what I learned. It brought me closer to Allah. I'm grateful for having had a very difficult childhood, because I see how Allah really blessed me through that difficulty. And I know people won't understand, like, oh, her father was murdered. My mom died because of negligence from a doctor. Yet I'm grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those painful experiences, because it made me who I am today.
So what really happened actually?
My father was murdered by my cousin, And my father was murdered because he was courageous. He discovered that my cousin, who was using drugs, had kidnapped a girl and was abusing her, and that he had fathered several children with her. My father wasn't aware that this girl was kidnapped. And once he discovered what was truly going on, he rescued this girl and these children that he was abusing, and he paid for it with his life. So I always felt very proud of my dad, like he died rescuing people. But it was a very difficult thing, especially the fact that my cousin is not in prison for my dad's murder. He's already been released. And alhamdulillah, that hit me very, very hard. It happened about 2 years ago. Alhamdulillah, it's just a blessing. It's a blessing. Yeah.
So what was your last highest Iman Rush moment? Iman Rush.
When I was making my dream dua, my dream duas that I did in Visionaire this year. Everyone should take Visionaire, inshallah.
Oh, you're a Visionaire student, Bad. Okay.
Yes, alhamdulillah, Allah Akbar. So may Allah, raise the Sheikh's ranks for creating that program. And doing my dream duas and sitting down and visualizing it and connecting with it and just feeling like a little kid. Yes, Allah is going to give me, inshallah.
Okay, so what do you hope to achieve by 50 or 60?
Oh, what do I hope to achieve? That I have memorized the Quran, inshallah, and I hope that I have children, inshallah, and that they have memorized the Quran, and that my business has gone global and is servicing the Ummah on all different levels. I have a vision for an NGO, I have a vision for a profitable company, but I really want to service the Ummah powerfully to help us really get the best out of ourselves, inshallah. Basically, I want my company to be like, on the NASDAQs. I aim high, inshallah.
No problem. What do you miss the most being a daughter?
A daughter? I miss being a daughter since I'm an orphan.
Really?
Yes, my parents are both dead.
At what age?
People ask me that. It was just a few years ago for my dad, and my mom died quite some time ago, but I don't really remember the age. I just remember the loss.
I'm really sorry about that. But, may Allah, give more barakah in what you're doing with all the visions you have. I appreciate the way you have grown up and thinking about for others, which is really inspiring. And the things which you have gone through, but still you're considering it as blessing, which is a great way to see things. That's what I was in the beginning thinking, like, what was your perception of your life? So you have the positive way of seeing things, and which is great. MashaAllah.
Allah Akbar.
So my last question, how was this interview for you?
Alhamdulillah, it was wonderful. I feel so comfortable. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I feel really happy.
Yes.
You helped me to shine. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, and it was a great pleasure having you. We will be really, keeping the network growing. I'll be in touch with you. Yeah. So we have the similar visions. All those I'm trying to interview also, they have the similar visions. So by you can say that we all are contributing already in the local level, but it is going in the global level. And things are improving, and I see everybody is realizing. Everybody is realizing. Sometimes I see that the social things, the social technology and all is helping everyone to really, be in the ecosystem of helping around the world. We did not know about what was happening. There were many people who did not know that there is some country called Israel also. So they got to know, and what happened with Palestinian, they got to know. So it's a different thing. Alhamdulillah.
I'll tell you quick story about that.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I was never really into politics. Now I have gotten into it. But when I was younger, like honestly, I didn't care. But I remember when I was at university and there was a Jewish boy. He was studying Arabic, and that was the first time that I wanted to study Arabic, but I didn't. And I was like, tell me about Israel and Palestine. I don't know. So I heard the Jewish perspective first. I listened intently. And then I said to him, okay, so basically you stole their country and now they want it back. He's like, no. I was like, but that's what you just told me. So from the Jewish perspective, and I was really not taking any sides. I was like, you went, my family's from the Caribbean. So I was like, you went to their yard and they want it back. So, no matter how they spin the story, It was just, and I said to him straight up, I was like, I'm on the Palestinian side.
Yeah. This story,
I didn't win any favors.
People know, but it's time, like, we don't talk about which sides to take, but are we really preparing ourselves? Which is the real question we should be preparing. I mean, preparing ourselves and knowing ourselves. Yeah. So it's a different thing. Well, that's all for today's episode of Righteous Rich podcast. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for listening, guys. Thank you for sharing and encouraging with all your knowledge you have, and hopefully we will get more clarity and have the distinctions which we have to learn this week, and we will keep continuing. I hope we'll be committed with episodes. Thank you so much. See you, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for having me. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I want to thank all the listeners and tell you that I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.